Surrounded by Idiots, the 4 Types of Human Behavior and How to Effectively Communicate with Each in Business and in Life, by Thomas Erikson. Picture this, a man named Stuart in his 60s. He's a successful entrepreneur who built his company from nothing, respected, accomplished, a real industry expert. But sit down with him for 5 minutes, like one young consultant did, and ask how things are going at his organization. Watch his face turn crimson as he leans in to share his deepest frustration. "I'm surrounded by idiots." He's dead serious. Department A? Complete morons. Department B? Fools who understand nothing. Department C? The worst of the bunch. He's genuinely amazed they can find their way to work each morning. His contempt runs so deep that his employees actually installed a secret warning light at reception. Red means stores in the building. Green means the coast is clear. Some staff members and even clients will spot that red light, turn on their heels, and decide today's not the day. The young consultant, armed with the beautiful simplicity that only youth provides, asked the obvious question: who hired all these idiots? Stuart, who had personally hired most of them, immediately threw the young man out of his office. This deliciously ironic story opens a book that's sold millions of copies and been translated into dozens of languages. It's from Surrounded by Idiots by Swedish communication expert Thomas Erikson. For nearly 20 years, Erikson has trained thousands of leaders to become better communicators, and this book distills everything he's learned. What Erikson discovered from that encounter with Stuart is something many of us feel but rarely admit. We often believe we're surrounded by people who are just wrong. Too slow or too fast. Too emotional or too cold. Too obsessed with details or completely oblivious to them. In our frustration, we label them difficult, weird, or in our worst moments, idiots. But what if they're not idiots at all? What if the problem isn't them but our complete inability to understand how they operate? What if they're speaking an entirely different behavioral language? That's the thrilling promise of this book. Over our journey today, you'll receive a key. Think of it as a secret decoder ring that unlocks the mystery of human behavior. You'll learn a simple but powerful system of 4 colors that will help you see the world and the people in it with startling new clarity. By the end, you won't just understand why people do what they do. You'll know exactly how to communicate with them, motivate them, and connect with them in ways that feel almost magical. This isn't about managing idiots. It's about discovering they were never idiots to begin with. Have you ever had a conversation where everything just clicked? Where you and the other person were perfectly in sync, finishing each other's sentences without effort? And have you had the opposite experience? A conversation where no matter what you said or how you said it, your words seemed to slam into a brick wall. You probably walked away thinking, what is wrong with that person? Thomas Erikson spent his youth puzzling over exactly this question. He assumed that since he was the same person in every conversation, the people who understood him were the good guys, and those who didn't must have something wrong with them. Simple, comforting logic. Also, completely wrong. The fundamental lesson, the bedrock of this entire system is this: communication always happens on the listener's terms. Let that sink in for a moment. Everything you say, every idea, every feeling, every instruction gets filtered through the other person's unique set of experiences, biases, and assumptions. You have almost no control over what they actually understand. The message in your mind is rarely the exact message that lands in theirs. This might sound discouraging, but it's actually incredibly empowering. While you can't rewire someone else's brain, you can absolutely change how you transmit your message. You can learn to speak their language. Here's the kicker. No matter what your personal communication style is, you'll always be in the minority. Most people you meet will function differently from you. So if you only communicate based on your own preferences, you're setting yourself up for a lifetime of frustration, destined to feel like store, forever surrounded by idiots. The secret to breaking this cycle? Understanding the basic patterns of human behavior. This isn't a new concept. For thousands of years, we've tried to sort ourselves into types. The ancient Greeks, led by Hippocrates, believed our personalities were governed by 4 bodily fluids or humors. The choleric type, full of yellow bile, was fiery and hot-tempered. The sanguine type, full of blood, was optimistic and cheerful. The phlegmatic type, influenced by phlegm, was calm and sluggish. The melancholic type, with excess black bile, was gloomy and pessimistic. The Aztecs in central Mexico saw people through the lens of 4 elements: fiery warriors, airy socialites, stable earth people, and quiet, deep-water people. In the 20th century, psychologist William Moulton Marston, who, fascinatingly, also created the lie detector test, developed a model based on how healthy, normal people behave. He called it the DISC system: dominance, inducement, submission, and compliance. Erikson takes these timeless observations and distills them into an incredibly practical tool, a system of 4 colors: red, yellow, green, and blue. Each color represents a primary behavioral language. About 5% of people are dominated by a single color, while most of us, around 80%, are a blend of 2. By understanding these 4 core types, we can decode almost everyone we meet. So let's meet them. Let's start with the loudest person in the room. Imagine a force of nature, someone who walks into a meeting and immediately takes charge. Their motto? Simple: we'll do it my way, now. This is the red personality. Reds are the choleric, fiery warriors of the modern world. They're extroverted, task-oriented individuals who are ambitious, driven, and decisive. Reds see life as a series of challenges to conquer, and they have unshakable belief in their ability to achieve anything. They make decisions quickly, love taking risks, and are natural-born leaders comfortable taking command. This is why you often find Reds as CEOs or presidents. Everything is a competition for a Red. The author tells a story about a former neighbor, Pele, who had zero interest in gardening until people started complimenting the author's beautiful yard. Suddenly, Pele was obsessed, digging new flower beds and cultivating a golf course-quality lawn with one clear objective: outdo his neighbor. This isn't malicious. It's just how a Red is wired. The thrill is in the winning. They'll even compete in things that aren't competitions, like finding the best parking spot or dominating a family board game meant for children. For a Red, quick equals good. They detest sluggishness. Idle time is wasted time. This makes them incredibly efficient. A Red boss will run the shortest, most effective meetings you've ever experienced. They don't waste time on pleasantries or flowery language. If a phone call can be 8 seconds, it'll be 8 seconds. Their focus is relentless. What's the problem? What's the solution? Let's move. They're also brutally honest. A Red sees no reason to wrap truth in soft packaging. If you ask their frank opinion on a project you've poured your heart into, brace yourself. They might tell you it's rough, they're amazed you didn't do better, and you need to start over from scratch. Then they'll walk away without a second thought, leaving you completely crushed. From their perspective, they just did you a favor. You asked for truth, and they delivered. But this powerful driving force has a shadow side. When their strengths are overused, others perceive them very differently, not driven, but pushy and controlling. Not decisive, but impatient and aggressive. Not honest, but insensitive and rude. Because they're so task-oriented, they can trample people's feelings without even noticing. It's never intentional, it's just a byproduct of their relentless forward momentum. They're so focused on the destination that they don't pay attention to the people they run over along the way. Now let's leave the boardroom and walk over to where the party is. In the center of the largest, loudest group, you'll find someone holding court, telling a fantastic story, with everyone hanging on their every word. You've just met a yellow. If reds are fire, yellows are air, optimistic, cheerful, and full of life. These are the sanguine personalities, people who see sunshine, even when you point out dark storm clouds gathering outside. The author's sister, Marita, is a perfect example. If he tells her it's raining, she simply replies, "Sure, but after that the sun will come out." Then she laughs. Her infectious joy is impossible to resist. Yellows are extroverted and relationship-oriented. For them, life is a banquet to be savored, and their primary motivation is fun and enjoyment. They're incredibly persuasive, charming, and charismatic. Strangers are just friends they haven't met yet. They're the people with the most contacts in their phone and the most friends on social media. They're masters of communication. They talk constantly, often answering questions no one has asked, but they do it with such charm you can't help being captivated. They're brilliant storytellers, using vivid imagery and expressive gestures to bring tales to life. A yellow can sell snow to a penguin, not through cold logic, but through sheer, unbridled enthusiasm. They're also fountains of creativity. A yellow thinks outside the box because they don't even seem to know a box exists. Their minds move incredibly fast, generating wild and innovative ideas one after another. They're fantastic at starting new projects, bringing an explosive burst of energy and inspiration that gets any team excited. But like the Reds, yellows' greatest strengths can become their most glaring weaknesses. Their love for talking often comes at the expense of listening. Truthfully, they're often terrible listeners. They're not interested in what others say, because they're already thinking about the much better story they're about to tell. This can make them seem self-centered and egotistical. The author tells of a sales manager named Peter, who, in a meeting with 7 other people, spoke for 69% of the time. Their focus on fun and the big picture means they're notoriously bad with details and structure. A yellow's desk often looks like a hand grenade went off on it. They're chronically optimistic about time, always believing they can do more than is humanly possible, leading to missed appointments and forgotten deadlines. While they're brilliant at starting projects, they're terrible at finishing them. Once initial excitement wears off, and boring, detailed work begins, their attention has already leaped to the next shiny idea. We've met the charging bull and the brilliant butterfly, but they're the extroverts, the ones easy to spot. Most of the population isn't like them. Most people are quieter, more reserved. Let's meet the person who makes up the calm, steady heart of any group. This is the person who never forgets your birthday, the one who listens patiently to your problems, offering a shoulder to cry on without trying to steal the spotlight. This is the most common of all personality types. This is the green. Greens are the phlegmatic earth people, calm, leisurely, and easygoing. They're introverted and relationship-oriented. They're the balance wheel, keeping the more extreme colors from spinning out of control. While reds and yellows are in top gear, greens provide serenity. They're kindness personified. Greens are exceptional team players. The group, the family, the team always comes before the individual. They're incredibly reliable. If a green says they'll do something, you can absolutely trust it'll get done. They don't want to let anyone down. They're the best listeners of all the colors. This is partly because they're naturally quieter, but also because their interest in others is genuine and authentic. The author tells of a salesperson named Helena, a gentle green, who managed to close a deal with a famously tough CEO that no one else could reach. How? She met him in the parking lot, saw his beautiful vintage car, and said, "Wow." The CEO spent the entire lunch talking about his passion for the car, while Helena just listened intently. He signed the contract before food was even served. She won him over by simply making him feel heard. However, the green's gentle nature comes with profound challenges. Their greatest weakness is deep-seated resistance to change and desperate avoidance of conflict. For a green, the motto is, "You know what you have, but you never know what you'll get." The grass is not greener on the other side. Any change, even small ones, can feel deeply unsettling. The author's mother, a classic green, had agreed to babysit one Friday night. When dinner was canceled, and the author told her they'd be home after all, she became flustered and hesitant, needing time to mentally prepare for this completely different situation, even though nothing about her own plans had actually changed. This dislike of change can manifest as stubbornness. Once a green makes up their mind, often based on a feeling or loyalty to someone they trust, it can be nearly impossible to get them to reconsider, no matter how many facts you present. Even more challenging is their aversion to conflict. A green will do almost anything to maintain harmony. In a meeting, if they disagree with a proposal, they won't speak up. They'll sit silently, hoping someone else voices their concerns, then nod in agreement with the group to avoid making a fuss. But the disagreement doesn't vanish. It goes underground. Later, by the coffee machine, or in a small, safe group, the truth emerges as gossip or backbiting. This can make them seem two-faced or dishonest, even though their only intention was keeping peace. Their passivity can be maddening for more active colors, who perceive it as indifference and lack of commitment. Finally, we come to our last personality. While the other three have been interacting, this person has been standing in the corner, quietly observing, analyzing, and evaluating everything. You've just noticed the blue. Blues are the melancholic water people, analytical, detail-oriented, cautious, and reserved. They're introverted and task-oriented. For a blue, the guiding principle is quality. If something's worth doing, it's worth doing right. Anything less than 100% correct is, in their eyes, 100% wrong. They're masters of facts and details. A blue is the friend who gently corrects you when you misquote a statistic, not to show off, but because accuracy matters. Before they speak, they've already done the research, checked sources, and confirmed their facts. What they say, you can usually take to the bank. They're systematic and logical. The story of assembling furniture perfectly captures the four colors. The red starts building immediately without instructions. The yellow tears open the box, excited about the finished product, but putting it together haphazardly. The green leans the box against the wall and decides to have coffee first. The blue? He reads the instructions twice, lays out and counts every single screw, and carefully wipes down each part before beginning assembly, step by precise step. It may take longer, but his cabinet will stand forever. This love for detail and quality makes them incredibly valuable in any field requiring precision and accuracy, like engineering, finance, or science. But the blue's pursuit of perfection has a dark side. Their need for all the facts before making a decision can lead to analysis paralysis. They can get so caught up in research and weighing risks that they never actually start. The author tells of a CEO who requested a proposal for leadership training. The author sent a 35-page document. The CEO's response? Is there any more material? This continued until the author had sent a binder with hundreds of pages detailing every 15-minute session. The CEO was fascinated by the process, but never actually made a decision. Their focus on what's wrong can make them appear critical and pessimistic. The author's friend, Hans, came to see his newly renovated kitchen. After all the hard work, the very first thing Hans said was, "New kitchen? Looks good. That cupboard door is crooked." He wasn't trying to be hurtful. His perfectionist eye simply cannot ignore a flaw. Their reserved, introverted nature can also be perceived as cold and distant. They require a large amount of personal space and don't engage in small talk with strangers. This makes relationship-oriented yellows and greens feel unwelcome and ill at ease. To them, the blue just seems boring. So, there you have them. The four characters in the story of human interaction: the commanding red, the inspiring yellow, the supportive green, and the analytical blue. Understanding them individually is one thing, but the real magic and the real drama happens when they interact. Some pairings are natural. Fast-paced, extroverted reds and yellows often work well together. They feed off each other's energy. Similarly, slower-paced, introverted greens and blues find comfort in each other's calm and thoughtful approach. Other pairings are complementary. A task-oriented red and blue can form a powerful team. The red acts as accelerator, the blue as brake, ensuring speed doesn't sacrifice quality. Relationship-oriented greens and yellows can also work well. The yellow talks, the green listens. But the most challenging combinations are the diagonals, the direct opposites. Put a dominant, impatient red together with a passive, change-averse green. The red sees the green as lazy and stubborn. The green sees the red as an aggressive bully who never listens. It's a recipe for frustration. Even more volatile is pairing a creative, spontaneous yellow with a logical, detail-oriented blue. The yellow dives into tasks with grand ideas and zero planning. The blue, meanwhile, is paralyzed, needing to research every detail before taking a single step. The yellow sees the blue as a boring, negative killjoy. The blue sees the yellow as a frivolous, incompetent windbag who can't be trusted. They drive each other completely mad. A hilarious story in the book illustrates this perfectly. At a company party, the lively, extroverted yellows became moody and philosophical as the night went on, while the quiet, analytical blue credit manager was found dancing on a table telling dirty jokes. The bossy red director became soft and apologetic, while the quiet greens cornered him and gave him a piece of their minds. Under pressure, or with a little alcohol, we can sometimes flip into our opposites. So if we're all so different, how do we possibly get along? The answer isn't to change who you are or who they are. The answer is adaptation. It's about learning to flex your style, to speak the language the other person understands. So how do you do it? When dealing with a red, speak their language of speed and results. Be direct. Get straight to the point. Cut the small talk. Focus on the bottom line. Don't show hesitation. Deliver your opinion with confidence, even if you disagree. They respect strength. If you back down, you lose their respect, and they'll walk all over you. When with a yellow, speak their language of enthusiasm and connection. Create a warm, friendly atmosphere. Smile. Laugh at their jokes. Don't bog them down with details. Focus on the big, exciting vision. Show interest in them as a person, and don't be afraid to use a little flattery. They need to feel good to be at their best. When interacting with a green, speak their language of security and stability. Slow down, be patient, don't rush them or spring sudden changes on them. Explain the plan step by step to ease their anxiety. Listen more than you talk. Your goal is making them feel safe and supported. They need to trust you before they can move with you. When approaching a blue, speak their language of facts and quality. Be prepared. Do your homework. Have all your data and details ready. Don't be vague or rely on gut feelings. Stick to the task and be professional. Don't get too personal too quickly. They judge you on the merit and accuracy of your work. Quality is their currency. This brings us to the ultimate test of communication, delivering bad news or criticism. Each color receives feedback in a completely different way. To give feedback to a red, be direct and fearless. Don't wrap it in praise. Just state the facts, and be prepared for a fight. They'll argue, they'll challenge you, they might even yell. Do not back down. Stand your ground, remain calm, and focus on the problem, not the person. To give feedback to a yellow, do it privately. Public criticism is humiliation to them. Be kind and reaffirm that you still like them as a person, but be very clear and persistent with your examples, because they'll try to charm their way out or twist your words. To give feedback to a green, be incredibly gentle. They take criticism to heart and can shut down completely. Focus on how their behavior makes you or the team feel. They're relational and don't want to hurt anyone. But be clear about what needs to change, because they may try to appease you in other ways while avoiding the actual problem. Finally, to give feedback to a blue, be armed with documented facts. Present your case like a lawyer, with detailed written evidence. Don't get personal or emotional. Stick to the professional issue. Be prepared for a barrage of counter-questions, as they'll dissect every detail of your argument. In the end, the message of Surrounded by Idiots is not that the world divides into 4 neat boxes. We're all far more complex than that. It's a tool, a map. Like any map, it's not the territory itself, but it can help us navigate the wonderfully complicated landscape of human personality. It gives us a path towards something we all secretly crave: genuine understanding. What a journey! After diving deep into this book, you begin seeing the world differently. You start noticing the colors everywhere. That boss who's always in a hurry and gets straight to the point? Classic red. That friend who can talk for an hour without taking a breath and lights up every room? Pure yellow. That quiet colleague who's always reliable but hates when the meeting agenda changes? A wonderful green. That family member who needs to research for 3 months before buying a new toaster? You've got a blue on your hands. The most powerful lesson in this book isn't about categorizing others. It's about developing self-awareness. It holds up a mirror and asks, what color are you? What language do you speak? Because once you understand your own default settings, your own strengths and weaknesses, you can begin seeing why you connect so easily with some people and clash so profoundly with others. The idiot you can't stand at work might simply be your polar opposite. Your impatience might be crashing against their need for caution. Your need for social connection might feel intrusive to their need for privacy. It's not a matter of right or wrong. It's a matter of different wiring. This is where the book becomes truly transformative. It moves us from judgment to curiosity. Instead of thinking, what's wrong with him? We can start asking, I wonder what color he is. What does he need to hear right now, and how does he need to hear it? This shift is the foundation of empathy. It's the key to becoming a better leader, a better partner, a better parent, and a better friend. So here are a couple of simple things you can do, starting today, to put these ideas into practice. First, try identifying the dominant color of one person you're close to, a parent, a sibling, or a best friend. Don't tell them you're doing it, just observe. How do they talk? How do they make decisions? What stresses them out? Second, for just one day, try communicating with that person entirely on their terms. If they're a red, be direct and get to the point. If they're a yellow, start with a funny story. If they're a green, ask how they're feeling and really listen. If they're a blue, present your idea with 3 well-thought-out facts. Just try it and watch what happens. You might be stunned by the difference it makes. That was a summary of Surrounded by Idiots by Thomas Erikson. We've explored the main ideas today, but a summary is like looking at a travel brochure. It can show you beautiful pictures, but it can't give you the feeling of sun on your skin or the sound of the ocean. The real magic of a book like this is in the small moments of self-recognition, where a story or phrase makes you pause and think, "That's me," or "That's my mother." This summary is your map. If anything we've discussed today has sparked your curiosity, I encourage you to grab a copy and take the journey yourself. It's an investment not just in learning, but in understanding, and it has the power to genuinely change how you connect with every single person in your life. The link to the book is in the description. Also, if you found this journey valuable, please take a moment to click that like button and subscribe to Billionaire's Bookshelf. It tells us we're on the right track and ensures you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book. Let's continue to learn and grow together.